In a tragic incident in Bushey, Hertfordshire, Carol Hunt, 61, wife of BBC star John Hunt, and her daughters, Louise, 25, and Hannah, 28, were brutally murdered in their home. The attack took place on a Tuesday, allegedly perpetrated by Kyle Clifford, 26, who had recently broken up with Louise. The three women were reportedly tied up and shot with a crossbow in what police described as a targeted attack. The ordeal began with piercing screams heard by neighbors, initially mistaken for a child's distress. As details emerged, it was clear that one of the victims had managed to call 999 before succumbing to her injuries. Louise also sent a final text to her partner, urging them to contact the police. Carol Hunt was found in the hallway with a crossbow bolt in her chest. Ligature marks on the victims' faces and wrists indicated they had been restrained at some point. The gruesome scene shocked the quiet neighborhood, where the Hunts were well regarded. Kyle Clifford, identified as the ex-boyfriend of Louise, was apprehended after a 24-hour manhunt. He was discovered in a North London cemetery with self-inflicted injuries from an attempt to shoot himself with a crossbow. Clifford was seen being stretchered away and taken to a major trauma hospital. Louise had recently posted a tweet praising women for their strength in leaving abusive relationships, highlighting her own troubled situation with Clifford. Neighbors recounted hearing a woman's desperate screams from the Hunt residence around 6:30 p.m. Shortly after, police arrived, having been alerted by the emergency call and Louise's text. However, they were too late to save the victims. John Hunt, who was returning from work at Lingfield Park, was contacted by the police and arrived to find his family deceased. Known as a beloved BBC horse racing commentator, Hunt was left devastated by the tragic loss. Witnesses described seeing a man clad in black, carrying a crossbow concealed under a white sheet, leaving the scene. This suspect was later identified as Kyle Clifford, who had served briefly in the Queen's Dragoon Guards but left the military under unclear circumstances. The breakup between Louise and Clifford was reported to be tumultuous, with Louise even crashing her car into a telegraph pole out of distress. Clifford's previous military background and his recent actions pointed to a deeply troubled individual. A massive manhunt ensued, with police warning the public not to approach Clifford. The search spanned Hertfordshire and North London. Local schools were put on lockdown during the search, and Clifford's home in Enfield was raided by armed police. The manhunt concluded when Clifford was found with self-inflicted injuries at Lavender Hill Cemetery. Eyewitnesses described the intense police activity and the presence of paramedics. Clifford was taken to the Royal London Hospital for treatment. The police confirmed that no shots were fired by officers during the arrest and that they were not seeking any other suspects. The community, including friends and neighbors of the Hunt family, was left in shock. Floral tributes were laid at the scene, and heartfelt messages of support were sent to John Hunt and his surviving daughter. Clifford's family background added a grim layer to the story. 6 years prior, his older brother, Bradley Clifford, had been convicted of murder. Bradley had been sentenced to life imprisonment for the murder of Sobhan Khan and attempted grievous bodily harm on Joshua Francis following a high-speed chase and collision. The Hunts were remembered fondly by their neighbors. Carol Hunt, a mother of 3, was known as a kind and quiet woman. Louise, who ran a successful dog grooming business from their home, and Hannah, who worked as a beautician, were both well-liked in the community. John Hunt, a former police officer turned BBC commentator, received an outpouring of support from colleagues and the broader horse racing community. Julie Harrington, chief executive of the British Horse Racing Authority, expressed the collective grief and support for Hunt during this unimaginably difficult time. The attack highlighted the tragic consequences of domestic violence and the importance of support for those trying to leave abusive relationships. Louise's final days were marked by her efforts to move on from a toxic relationship, underscored by her poignant social media posts celebrating the courage of women who choose to leave. As the community grappled with the horror of the events, the focus remained on providing support to John Hunt and honoring the memories of Carol, Louise, and Hannah. The tragedy served as a stark reminder of the pervasive issue of domestic violence and the often devastating impact it can have on families. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more updates on celebrity deaths and news updates.